Hello everyone and welcome to this week's tutorial. It's going to be another freelancing type tutorial where I talk about tips of freelancing that I've experienced, and this week I'm going to be specifically talking about saying no to clients or rejecting clients that want to work with you. You'll have to excuse my nose as I am completely congested, but I'm doing my best in this video to stay clear and understandable. But we're going to be talking about this slightly luxurious thing that you can do, which is saying no to clients. Before we get started, I do want to remind you down below, hit subscribe and the bell icon to be notified of new videos coming out twice a week on the channel, and down in the description you can follow us on GitHub for coding updates as well as Instagram for other live updates. If you're not already a member of our Discord server, make sure you join to get with scripting, extensions, plugins, some tutorial ideas, and much more. And if you'd like to help support us on YouTube, you can do so by becoming a member or supporter. That comes with cool perks like badges, Discord status, custom emojis, and much more. And you can also check out the links down below to AE Scripts, Gumroad, and Adobe Exchange to see some other cool stuff I make. So I'm just going to be talking about my experience with being basically able to reject clients, or when should you say no to a client who wants to work with you. I've obviously had previous tutorials where I talk about red flags, bad communication, and things like that. These are all reasons you might want to say no right off the bat to a client who wants to work with you. If you have red flags where you think working with them is going to be super difficult, super annoying, or if you think that they're not going to be communicating with you and this is going to lead to a longer working time due to lack of clarity in your work requirements or things like that. Now, personally, the first several years I did freelancing for people, I basically said yes to everything. The reason being is that money is kind of the biggest factor that I think early freelancers will decide if they can say yes or no to clients. If you are depending on your job to get basically paid from these clients, no matter if you think they are red flagging or not, you will say yes to those jobs just to make sure that you get paid to help make sure you survive. It's kind of a thing that just all of us mostly do. If you're strapped for cash, if you need money, or you're saving up for something and you need the freelance work, you will say yes. So when else can you say no? Well, honestly, the main thing, as it is kind of a luxury to say no to clients in the beginning, is to have more money. Now, let's say I started scripting or making videos for somebody and I'm barely making $300, $500 a month. That's a fair amount for some people. Depending on the country you live in, that might be sustainable. In other countries, that might be extremely low, just barely able to survive. And in that case where you're barely able to survive, you're going to say yes to everything to make sure that you can kind of increase that amount, get more opportunity, more experience, more reviews, more clients. Maybe you guys have had a different experience yourself. Maybe you've had the chance to say no so early on. If you have, let me know down below in the comments, and let me know how that progressed into when you started making more and more money to a stable income. Did that change any bit differently than saying yes to everything? Because in my experience, when I said yes to everything, yes, there were tons of projects that went on way too long, tons of clients that had no clear communication, and the project just kept going back and forth, back and forth. Please, can I just get paid this small amount of money for all these extra months of work? Saying no is, I guess I could say, something I've only done within the past 2 years, even after learning scripts, extensions. After that, I was still saying yes to almost everything because during certain times of my freelancing, I have had to work other actual in-person jobs, like at coffee shops or things like that, to maintain a stable income. Only have I been saying no is when my freelancing income will far surpass anything by like a day job. I'm not going to show you because one, I'm compiling things in it for possible future videos, and two, it's kind of personal, but I have an email folder called Hell No Jobs, jobs that I will not do. And this is kind of what gave me the idea for this, in that sometimes I get emails from people that I know are not going to pay enough for what I require at this point, or they simply are trying to be spoon-fed the data or information from me for a very, very low price where it's not going to be worth my time. It's similar to the Discord. Us mods here on the Discord have discussed before kind of what our philosophy should be on people coming in and asking too many questions, very dumb questions, as in they're a beginner and are asking the very simple things, should we let them ask infinite questions? And our great trusty mod Adorai Magi suggested that we should answer questions except with the exception of people who want to be spoon-fed. And I really like the phrase spoon-fed because it means that these people are wanting free stuff from us or very low cost stuff from us and lots of work from the people who are providing a service. And the same thing applies when you're doing freelancing. Some clients are going to come to you, email you, and want things spoon-fed to them. Whether they're actually a coder themselves, maybe they just want, I don't know, a dozen questions answered so they can finish their first project or their first thing they're going to sell online. They might want just a tiny bit of money for quite a bit of work on your end. So that's kind of your decision. Is what the job they're offering worth the money? And don't skim yourself on this. If you're not like always increasing your wages or making sure that you're getting paid for learning more things, then say no. The more jobs you get, the more you're going to be able to charge more because one, you have the experience to do more complicated things, and two, you also have the experience to do things smoother. What used to take you maybe months or a year could now maybe be done in 1 month instead of that super long period of time. And that's a time saver and thus deserves to make you more money. So if someone comes to you and says, hey, super easy project, just need you to help me out and I'm going to pay you this amount of money, or if they say, I have a super easy idea, don't let them tell you what an easy idea is because you are the one who gets to define what is easy, what is hard. So just basically anyone who wants what seems or might feel like some free work done, just say no. Especially if they're going to pay you something that you can get paid hourly or something else in a different job. Now again, if you're a beginner, you might be very tempted to say yes to all these jobs. But if someone wants me to do, I don't know, a month-long project for $300, that's not really going to be okay because $300 per month is not sustainable anywhere. And that's not to mention that these people are trying to pay you a small amount of money for such long work. It's probably going to be even longer than that single month they said. There's going to be revisions. There's going to be, hey, I also want this done. I also want this done. Again, spoon feeding. Pretty much if you get a bad feeling about something, that's probably a good time to say no. If it has to do with the amount of money you think is ridiculous, the timeline or the time scale is ridiculous, things like this are the first signs that you should say no to a project. But let's say you're a freelancer who's doing whatever programming that we're talking about here. But let's say you're a freelancer making a decent income. Now you have a bit more, even more control over when you say no. Without being too concerned about the timeline or the price, you can simply reject projects that you don't like or don't want to do. For example, if you're someone that is always wanting to learn something new and you keep getting the same emails with the same job requests, then you might just start saying no to them. You can also choose to automate if you have a similar project that you just need to make small variations of. That's something quite common that I do, which avoids me saying no to jobs that might pay actually decent. But if you don't want to work on a job because it's too monotonous and you're doing the same thing every day, or if it's too different and you'd have to learn a lot for not enough pay, then you can also say no. And these are even more luxurious situations. When you're already making a decent income from freelancing, you'll have these options to say no if you personally don't want to do it. And the last thing I want to talk about is saying no doesn't mean you're gonna miss out on things. The surprising thing is the first time I said no to a project, like 3 more popped up that made me more money. I don't know how to explain it, but when I was in my early freelancing days using freelancer.com to make $50 to $150 per script, which is actually ridiculous at this point, there were times where I'm like, I really wish I wasn't doing this. And the first time I finally said, you know, I'm not going to do this project. I might be one of the only qualified people on this website to do this project, but I'm not going to do it. Or if I got my first email, which I said no to, I said no to it, and the next thing that happened is I got a few more emails from different people requesting something that actually piqued my interest and paid better. It's counterintuitive, but this can be the way it works. But just because you're saying no to something doesn't mean more work is not coming. And likewise, vice versa. If you say yes to something, that doesn't mean more work is coming. In fact, you might be having a drought after that. It's hard to tell because obviously every situation is different, every industry is different, but sometimes just because you say no, things might turn up on the upside for you. And sometimes just because you say yes, things might go on the downside for you. So learning this balance and really defining what you as a freelancer think is a valid pay, valid timeline, valid interest for you is all really important to start learning as you grow. And at this point, I can safely say I never regret saying no to a project unless, well, okay, there are a few cases where I have worked slightly on a project, left because of, miscommunication or the client themselves not wanting me to continue to work on it for weird reasons. We don't need to go into that. But there have been situations where I have regretted not continuing to work on something, and that just actually kind of turns into fuel of saying, okay, well, I can do better than that. Next time I will do better. I'm going to make a better product than that, etc., etc. So just to recap, saying no in freelancing is something that can be luxurious, especially in the beginning stages of you earning income and increasing that income to something sustainable and livable. In the beginning, you may have to say yes to more things that you don't like, things that don't pay as well, and things that have weird timelines or miscommunication incoming. As you progress further along freelancing, make more money, and are more comfortable in your situation, you can say no to more things. That's not going to lead to less jobs. In fact, it may lead to better jobs because you're able to put your focus outside of that job you would have taken into other things. And eventually, you'll be able to say no to projects simply out of lack of interest, monotony, or lack of connection with the client you're talking to. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, hit the thumbs up button down below, hit subscribe and the bell icon to be notified of new videos coming out twice weekly on the channel. And down in the description, you can follow us on GitHub for coding updates, as well as Instagram for other live updates. If you're not already a member of our Discord server, make sure you come and join to help with scripting, extensions, plugins, submit tutorial ideas, and much more. And if you'd like to help support us on YouTube, you can do so down below by becoming a member or a supporter. Comes with cool perks like badges, Discord status, emojis, polls, and much more. You can also check out the links down below to AE Scripts, Gumroad, and Adobe Exchange to see some other cool stuff I make. Thanks again for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.